Scrimmage last night, I thought it was solid. Probably disappointed consistency of play, which is that happens sometimes with training camp, with the install, with all the different things going in offensively and defensively. I thought we had some guys make some plays, and if you like me, I love to see good quality football. I think we have guys make a lot of great plays. We have guys that are making great plays, but I want to see it on a consistent basis across the board. It is instead of guys making spectacular. They're like a two-play sequence that I know. He's just like in a scrimmage of a Josh Hammond who wins, gets open, and kind of drops a ball. And then the next play leaps over two guys and makes a spectacular touchdown catch. I want the consistent – make the first one. I love that we're making the second one, but make the first one. And I think that's just something as we continue, our guys get going and getting more and more closer to game week, we start to do that. So, but overall, a lot of our installations in now. What's going to be really interesting is how fast guys pick it up. The guys that we need to pick it up to create the depth on the roster. I said, we didn't. What day of the week is today? Tuesday. Just for example. All right, so Saturday was our last day of install. For a while. So we installed Saturday. So the guys had a chance to review Sunday, scrimmage at Monday. Today's an off day. Watch the film review. Tomorrow, and then tomorrow afternoon we'll install. So there's this long stretch right now of guys to see now who has it. It's a couple things, it's kind of outliers that you start to install and a lot more situational football moving forward. But to see how fast everybody has it. Because if they have it, that's going to put them in a position to contribute more and create the depth that we need for this season moving forward. So it's interesting now through the scrimmage, you've got to have it. You got to absorb it all. Who's got it and who's ready to take those steps to be ready to go play.
In terms of the timeline, are you guys on track, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do
you feel like you're ahead, behind?
No, I think we're okay. It's so weird is it's hard to say because everybody's there are some guys that are probably behind and positions that are behind if we're really young because you're asking guys to develop faster than you normally would need them to develop, if that makes sense. We have some young linemen that are going to have to develop faster than normal. So, when you look at it, are there certain ones, we're way ahead at the receiver position, of where you want to be. But it's kind of subjective throughout the team with guys. So I think overall, I'm not concerned that we're behind. It's just at positions. And then what we have to do is make sure we are accelerating guys that, there's guys that are probably going to have to play sooner than they normally would. You'd want them to have to be ready to play. We have to accelerate to make sure those guys are ready to go. Does that make sense?
Yes. How did Felipe look? Is he continue to make?
Yeah. The biggest thing to him is his consistency and leadership is the one big thing I'm constantly working on with him. Is how he's playing. His performance, I think he has such a much better grasp of the offense, made some great plays. He made some really good throws. But it is, just his constant, his leadership. Is he making everyone around him better? Not just by the plays that he makes, just his presence, how he talks to guys, how he leads them between series, all of those things. That's the constant things that we work on.
And last thing on Felipe, what makes you confident or the most confident that he's going to be able to weather the ups and downs that are inevitable this season?
Well, he listens. When you talk to him, he listens to it. One of the things with that is, he's a competitor and he's emotional, but he wants to get better at those things. It's one thing if I'm like, hey, you got to keep your poise here. I need you to lead in this way here. And you don't listen or you don't try to do it or you don't pay attention to it. You're like, I know what I'm doing. What are you worried about? Didn't you see me throw the ball 70 yards in the air? I can do this. I can do that. it's when the guys that buy in and they listen and they understand the things that need to get better. That always, you're always, if you're trying to improve and you're trying to pay attention to what you're not, how to make yourself better, you have a chance to do it. And that's what's always going to give him a chance to weather the pressures of the year. I mean, he's been through it too. I mean, he's been through it once, or I guess with me, he's been through it a couple times. But, he's been through it without me. So I think before I got here too. So I think that'll allow him to have to go through the ups and downs and handle it a little bit better.
Dan, can you talk about trying to get more explosive plays, big plays in the offense? I think you guys were around middle of the pack in the country last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, one, it's the explosive playmakers, and I think we have some of those guys now, and guys that understand the offensive scheme better gives you the opportunity to go do it. And I think the other one is having multiple guys that are playmakers. And especially you look at in the perimeter at the receiver position where, and everyone's, you worry too. You'll have some get it to plays, but you also have plays where when you have, if we got 3-4 receivers out there and all 4 of them can make an explosive play and do what you need them to do, it allows you to take advantage of what the defense has given you. And I think that leads to more explosive plays.
Do you think last year a lot of it too, though, was that you were just trying to get things installed and
I think there's a lot to it. I think it's guys learning the system and learning the offense. You know what I mean? Within the offense, you have guys that want to. Once you know the offense, you know how to make plays within the offense. You know what I mean? And hey, can I do this? Can I run this route this way? Hey, you know what? I decided to change the route. I hooked up here. I sat in this area. You know what I mean? Is it okay if I? This is why I did it. And when you have guys doing that, you have a chance. They understand the system. Hey, I want to take this over the top instead of sitting it down here. Okay, great. And they're more confident in doing it. And I think that leads to more explosive plays.
Will, over here to the right.
Hey, Dan, so what was the best play that you saw yesterday?
I don't know. It would probably bore you. It's probably, probably like a counter that we ran for like 6 yards where we blocked it perfectly. The defense fit perfectly and made a good tackle in the open field. You know what I'm saying? Like that's me. That's what I want to see is great football from all 22 guys on the field executing it at a high level more than guys making a great catch or a great individual great coverage play, all of that stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of it to me. I don't know if me too. I'm also pretty. I don't know if there was any good plays in the scrimmage to my level. I want it so high.
Speaking of the secondary, last time we were out there, it looked like a couple guys, C.J. McWilliams, Brad.
Yeah,
Stewart.
I'll give you C.J. McWilliams. I'll cover him because he's going to be out for the year with a torn Achilles. He ruptured his Achilles. So, he's going to be out for the year, and that's a tough one. Non-contact injury. And it's a shame because, those guys, it is just one of those. I was early in practice, just planted and drove and felt the pop, and it's a shame. That's so tough. Is guys that work so hard, they put in all this work in the off season, and you get suffered with an injury.
Are you considering moving anybody else to that nickelback with a couple guys out there?
We haven't moved anybody. Like I said, in the secondary and all that. So I love guys to be multi-position guys and have the flexibility for guys to move around and be able to play different positions. But we haven't moved anybody from offense over to defense for the depth reason or any of that stuff.
Who's kind of working with Trey there then?
At nickel now, you're going to have, there's a lot of different things that we're doing there. You have Bernie can do it, John Huggins. You could go as far as putting a Marco Wilson there. But But, and then there's, when you're within a base defense, Bernie, like I said, Bernie can be there in base. There's a lot of different things that we can do personnel-wise to move guys around.
And with Juwan Taylor's shoulder being non-contact, how is Sean Davis kind of taking the
I
opportunity?
thought Sean
to get
did
more
a
reps?
really good job in the scrimmage, That was a real big positive. We expect Juwan should be back practicing by the end of the week. He should be full go. But I thought Sean had a pretty good scrimmage. Made some really some really good solid plays. Made some explosive plays. Made some really good open field tackles. And I thought played pretty well.
Back to Felipe. You said he made some great plays, but then you said you're trying to get him to make everybody around him better between plays. Can you give me some examples of what you're trying to get him?
I think he gets so. Like I said, I think if you get around him, you guys around him, he's an emotional guy, and which, hey, I love that. There's some things I like that are going to make him, trust me, I don't mind him getting angry and dropping his pads and being emotional and running 3 people over and scoring a touchdown and shushing the crowd and, there's times for that. But it is managing that of when to sit there. You know what I mean? And, especially, right, we're trying to develop some really young offensive linemen right now. I'm not talking about the ones. I'm talking about the 2-0 line. Is great. So instead of any sort of frustration or, give me this, I'll make this play, how are you helping those guys? What are you talking to them about? Hey, I'll make the call for you. I'll make the check for you. You guys, hey, I'll get up here. I'll handle, even though the center, you should do this. I'm going to handle that for you when this group's on the field. We got a veteran group at running back. I mean, one of the great things is, I always love in talking to quarterbacks. He's doing this with like a Dak Prescott or the Tebow. Hey, if I'm going to move Percy into running back, that's not his normal position. Just make sure he knows which way to go. Hey, Percy, you're running left on this one. That's your job. That's leadership as a quarterback. Because once he runs left and you hand him the ball, great things are going to happen. Just make sure he goes left. Just those type of things. When it is to be really excited and get everybody hyped up, drop your pads and run people over, and when you need to use your brain to manage and help guys out. That type of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's the same. Like, hey, you see we put KT in the backfield at times. Hey, when KT's there, your job at that point to make sure, hey, KT knows exactly what he should be doing on that play. Hey, just not once the ball's in his hand, you don't need to worry about that. Just make sure it goes the right way. And then, but that's right now. That's huge with the young O line. If you guys been out, when you watch, you guys. All spring you see that we roll guys through in the different groups, so that he got to be in there with that group, and he's got to try to lead them.
Are there any guys, Dan, that you've seen that have made a real leap from what you saw in the spring to where they are now that are a big surprise for you?
Yeah. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. We got a bunch of guys. Our guys are, the whole team, I think a lot of guys are working hard. I'm certainly not disappointed with our effort of the team. I'm certainly not disappointed with our performance and how guys are picking things up. So, not that way. I think there's certain things, there's certain leadership things within the team that I want to continue to see improve. Throughout the team as a whole, to be a big-time team.
Are there any freshmen maybe that you've seen that are a little bit further advanced than what you thought they might be at this point?
I don't know further advanced. I think situationally, I think I've learned this through the years. Situationally, freshmen advance a lot faster, just off of opportunity. You know what I mean? And you look at some freshmen, like our 3 freshman corners. Man, they're all going to play, and there's opportunity for them to play, and they're getting moved up to play. It's crazy. Like if you take a freshman and you put him with the 1s, he's going to play better than if he's with the 3s. Just 1, you got better guys around you. 2, that sense of urgency that like boy, I'm up here. I better not screw this up. But like the 3s, you're out there. You're like, okay, we're good, and we're trying to figure it all out. And the 1s, you're like, I've got to be perfect. So those different opportunities, and defensively. So you look at like a Bogle. You look, I think he's doing a really good job. You look at Mahmoud's going to have the opportunity to play as a freshman. You look at Michael Tarquin and Ethan White getting a lot of, where they got, Ethan got some reps with the ones. Not that it always looks pretty, but, that standard of play has to be raised. And so I think, some of that stuff where you don't have to, you know what I mean? I mean, you look at some of the like Trent Whitmore, I thought did some really good things, and Naquan did some good things, but the pressure's not on them to have to go perform right now. And so I think that even though it's a real positive that they're doing those things, is I think the sense of urgency for the other guys you pay more attention to.
Mark over here to the right.
A lot was made last year about Ja'Kai Polite being the juice guy during fall camp. Is there
Really?
any guys?
Like an energy guy?
Yeah, like an energy guy. Are there any
I
guys
missed
like
that one. I don't know.
that are the juice guys this year?
I missed that. I missed him being the juice guy. I don't know if I would have said that. Who said that?
Who would you have said last year?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody. Maybe.
Really? Who is
I mean, I don't know if anybody was, because I don't know if they even understood what it was to be that way. That's part of the leadership. What I'm looking for, what we're really looking for, are who are alpha dogs in a really positive manner to go lead the team. We have a lot of guys that talk. We have guys that really go hard and do things, then try to lead by example. We need some alpha dogs that are both. You know what I mean? That when they talk, it's impactful. When they talk, it's the right thing. When they talk, it's pushing. When they talk, it's to everything they say is to make the team perform at a higher level, and they also back it up with their performance on the field. One of the hard things is I don't know. We're talking as a team. I don't know who they've seen that's ever been that.
Not Chauncey.
That's the name.
Jared Davis.
Down there in the locker room, and I don't know Jared that well, but they said Jared Davis was an alpha dog, and he's the only example that they've seen as an alpha, that a lot of guys that have been here throughout their career to see as a true alpha dog. And so, I mean, I think we have some guys that can be that. We just got to really – and the positive one is you hope guys are. But, it's hard to – if you are – we got nothing to worry about. Like, that's great to have those guys. Those are come few and far between, right? There's guys that have the opportunity to do it. Now, might not be as great as the guy that is just a pure natural thing, but they can be good enough to go do it. And we just got to continue to help show them how to, if that makes sense. We got to show them how to be that alpha dog. And, hey, you do it right this way. And even be verbal in these ways, either guys that are really loud, but make sure this is the right way to be loud and make sure your actions back it up, or guys that do everything the right way, how to be a little bit, when to talk and when to get your point across. Dak Prescott's probably the best I've ever seen.
Better than Tebow?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Dak to me was the best I've ever seen. Added. But, there's been a ton. You go back. Let me shut this off here. I keep getting beeped. I know. Like, you know what? I don't have to, I used to do that. When I used to do it, I used to have, Twitter notifications on my phone. So, I'd be like, it actually can be if a point, and I probably should do it. If I'm talking about something and my phone really starts vibrating, I'm on a good point because you're all really fired up about what I'm talking about. And if it does nothing, I can just get off that point because no one cares. But you look at guys up here. Penarchik McKinney was for me. Jeffrey Simmons. I've just had when you have them, the name, the pressure of a name. But Brandon Spikes, Major Wright. You look at the Pouncey brothers. you don't win 2 national championships in 3 years. I mean, trust me, we had a lot of talent, but there were some alpha dogs that were making sure that the level of play was at an extremely high level. There were a bunch on those teams. Mississippi State had a bunch, through the years. Anthony Dixon, even though he not always with his actions. Jamar Chaney, that's on our staff now, was. KJ Wright. Fletcher Cox, one of the greatest alpha dogs. Fletcher Cox was unbelievable at it, Well, it's hard to see. I mean, you kind of, and you hope, right, that they were. Like a Brian Johnson, Alex Smith. Alex Smith was unbelievable. Utah, Morgan Scalley. Utah, I thought was. I mean, there's, you can kind of, you can see it a little bit in recruiting, but you don't totally know. Huh? Yeah, I mean, in my mind, like a great one. I mean, I don't know if we had a guy that was. But it's hard in year one in the program to have. I mean, you hope you have one. Probably the best one last year is Martez Ivy. If I had to pick one, that would have been Martez.
With Malik Davis coming into the offense, how do you see his role next to Dameon? And
well, great. Obviously, it's great to see him. I mean, the great when you get him into scrimmages now, and you see, at the end of spring, I was really happy. The first one was a little tentative. The second one, he started to play. Now he's back. It looks like kind of what he looked like before he got hurt. Which is great. Which is, and if you see us, I love rolling the backs. I mean, we did it if you can. Because I love the opportunity to have guys be fresh. Obviously, you have with a guy like P. Ryan coming back, that is a premier back in the league. A guy that has an opportunity to be an unbelievable alpha dog for us. But it can be a premier guy for us. But to have the ability to have other guys that come in that are really good players that can take the load off him and give him the opportunity to stay fresh, it's a pretty good deal. For him? Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Do I have to worry about what? Well, phony guys are hard. If we're all phony, the problem with when you have phony alpha dog type people, eventually you're going to get exposed. The difference goes to guys that are trying and then guys that are phony, and and it's trying to sort those two. You know what I mean? Which that can be a very fine line that you're looking at. Like, right, I'm trying, yes, but that was kind of phony. Or that's the fine line that you always have to manage. Well, more if you have a bunch, you're really good, right? We potentially have some, none that are at the level of being the ones, the real, I mean, we don't have a Fletcher Cox or a Dak Prescott or Pouncey Brothers. No, I mean, it could happen today. I mean, we have guys that would like to. We have guys that are trying to. There's so few that it's natural. You know what I mean? That it's just. I mean, they don't have to think about it. There's others that want to do it and want to do things the right way, and they do sometimes, but they want to learn how to do it all the time, and we have more of those guys.